Taliban militants have kidnapped dozens of people after seizing 3 passenger buses in northern Afghanistan. The incident took place on Monday morning as 3 buses were crossing along the Kunduz province. Taliban spokesman confirmed the abduction, saying that civilians will be freed, but they will keep security forces in their custody. Earlier, the militant group also declared that it will free at least 500 prisoners. The abduction comes one day after President Ashraf Ghani announced a 3-month conditional ceasefire with the Taliban on the occasion of the al-Adha holiday. John Stepling, author and commentator, joins us from Norway. The story of Afghanistan cannot be summed up in incidents that are still occurring. What is the bigger picture that you see here when you take a look at the war that has now dragged on for 17 years?
17 years. Well, you have to remember, too, that the Taliban essentially are an invention of the Pakistani intelligence funded by the United States. I mean, this whole thing is in a sense, the creation of the United States. But you know, the war has gone on for 17 years, and people say, but it's achieved nothing. There are, you know, a few modest reforms here and there. But from the point of view of the U.S. military, Pentagon, and State Department, this is a continuing success. I mean, there's enormous profits being made. The U.S. has 900 military bases around the world, and they hand out billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in contracts for the upkeep and maintenance and construction of these bases. And these are very large bases. Camp Liberty in Iraq is the size of a city. It has concrete sidewalks, traffic lights, gymnasiums, spas, movie theaters, etc. Once upon a time, you know, the Army and Navy built their own bases. Soldiers themselves built them. Starting it toward the end of the Vietnam War, this was contracted out. And now, with these 900 military bases around the world, the contracts are just enormous, and the bookkeeping is opaque at best. You know, the Pentagon admits to losing something like $1 trillion over the last 15 years. So a lot of people are making money. Somebody has to, you know, supply the acoustic sensors for surveillance on the base, shower heads, toner for copying machines, etc. I mean, the Supreme Group, I believe it is, supplies food for these bases. Their whole reason for existence is to supply food to U.S. military bases, and they're a multi-billion-dollar business. So everything has become advertised, and Eric Prince, now close confidant of Donald Trump, is floating the idea of making it an entirely mercenary army running the occupation. So we're returning to sort of, you know, the height of colonialism here. I guess he sees himself as the viceroy of Afghanistan. So these people don't want an end to the conflict. You know, God forbid that these billions of dollars being made, you know, would get cut off, because half these companies would go under if troops were withdrawn from these bases. So the status quo is perfectly fine with the United States. You know, all of these endless discussions, and I mean, it just gets tedious to listen to, because we've heard it for 17 years, and nothing's going to change. Nobody wants it to change. You know, the U.S. occupied Afghanistan as the world's leading producer of heroin. It's something the Taliban themselves had actually curtailed, but the U.S. brought it back. So a lot of people in a lot of different ways are making money, and the U.S. economy is largely dependent on the military and the endless wars that are fought for no apparent reason. So while the U.S. has a kind of long-range goal of global hegemony, and there are certain reasons, most of it is just a self-perpetuating money machine. And now in Afghanistan, the other thing as a final footnote here is the discovery of lithium, cobalt, all these rare earth minerals, and the U.S. is determined to keep China out of this. We have a war of resources as well. So there's no end in sight for any of this.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. John Stepling, the author and commentator.